Thank you.
This is a brandy. Appreciate you coming on the show. Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to a good show tonight.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks for having me.
of course. It's good, huh?
Yeah.
Welcome to Sunny at 9, a business talking to hustlers. That's what you're going to get with this show. We're talking to entrepreneurs, self-starters, people that took it upon themselves to create their own future, their own path of being their own boss. And tonight, our guest this evening is a renowned oculoplastic surgeon in Beverly Hills, California, Dr. Parsa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Sunny Creative produces marketing videos for the practice, and we really enjoy our work together. We've just established a great synergy together, so I'm very excited that we were able to have you on.
Thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Without further ado, let's get right into it and get to know you a little bit more, and let's hear your story. Tell us about your practice.
I am an oculoplastic surgeon, which basically means it's a plastic surgeon that does, cosmetic surgery, revisional surgery around the face and the eyes. So, there's subspecialties in medicine, and mine is around this area.
Did you always want to be an oculoplastic surgeon? Like, when did the light bulb moment happen for you?
Yeah, I that's a great question. And if you ever meet like the 18-year-old, Parsa, and you ask them, you said you're going to be a doctor. So, forget the oculoplastic surgeon part. Being a doctor wasn't even part of the plan. So they say, you want to make God laugh, make some plans and see what happens. And that's what it was. Ever since I was a kid, art was always important to me. So that was part of it. But, if you ask me what I wanted to be, I would say I want to be a pilot. So that was like a long time dream. I was actually going to UCLA as an aeronautical science major, studying, to be a pilot. The journey goes back that far, and the way medicine came about, I'll tell you. So I was taking this, I had to have 12 units to be a full-time student at UCLA. And then I was going to flight school at that time. And, in order to maintain my 12 units, I had to take this class, this biology class. And I did not like biology. It wasn't part of the thing. And I really dreaded taking it. I said, I don't want to do this, but took it. And it really changed my life. That one class was the tipping point. At the end of that class, I said, I want to be a biologist. So, think about how much of an impact one professor at one college that you randomly take does, So,
wow.
So that was it. So I said I want to be a biologist. And a lot of the biology majors at UCLA at that time were pre-meds. So when I was studying biology, and there was physiology, and some of these pre-med students were studying for this thing called MCAT, which is an entrance to medical school. And I remember clearly one day one of my buddies was going to the library. I said, what's going on? He goes, yeah, I'm going to study for the MCAT. I said, yeah. What's the MCAT? So I went and took the test. He said, I'll take it. Medical school sounds good. Took the test, and I did well in it, and ended up going to USC medical school afterwards. So anyways,
You make it sound so easy. Like, I just, saw a buddy taking an MCAT and then decided I wanted to do that. Is that really?
Well, it was interesting because medical school was not part of the plan. It wasn't. So I think, certainly I knew that I was intrigued by the study of biology, study of life, physiology. So those things had kind of started growing as an interest for me.
Right.
And I saw that as a kind of a spiritual thing. But yeah, so becoming a doctor was not part of the game plan. In medical school, I was studying neuroanatomy, and I said, okay, I want to be a neurosurgeon. So that was my plan. I said, first year medical school, I want to be a neurosurgeon. And I don't know if you know that much about neurosurgeons. They're very strict. They work pretty much all the time. It's a very stressful, so I got to hang out with a couple of them during an internship in medical school. And I said, these guys are not happy, and I don't want to be like these guys. So change of plans, and came ophthalmology, which were a bunch of happy people, very easy going and everything. So that kind of fit my personality more.
Sure.
And that's how it happened. And so, and then, then I went to, did my residency in ophthalmology. And during that time at USC, there are a lot of trauma cases that you do. So we were doing trauma surgery, and I became interested in reconstructive surgery. So then subspecialty in ophthalmology is oculofacial plastic surgery, which is what I did. And ended up going there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pilot, and then now something so specialized in medicine.
So USC was the university that sparked the interest in oculoplastic surgery?
Definitely.
What about it fascinated you?
At USC is a level 1 trauma center. So you do a lot of, laceration repairs, facial trauma, facial fractures. So it was during that time that I said, okay, this is so cool. You have somebody whose face is now open, and you get to put it back together. That process of doing these kind of trauma cases sparked that interest. And then I ended up going to University of Miami. I applied for this fellowship at University of Miami, which is a great school. I was very lucky, and I think in life luck is important, and this is one of the things that happened. And I got to meet, I think that another guy that laid the foundation for what I do, which is, Dr. C, and a few other people that really laid that foundation. So I think in that journey that we talk about, there are a lot of things that you don't plan and they happen. So, and it's just how it is. Yeah.
So after you graduated from Miami, is that when you decided to start your own practice, or when was the moment where you said you were going to start all that?
Yeah. So basically, I had finished my schooling. My family lived here in Los Angeles, and I was in Miami. And at that time, my nephew gets into he gets into this car accident, breaks his nose. So I call up one of my buddies that had a practice, a facial plastic surgeon. His name is Dr. Babak Azizadeh, and he's actually incredible guy. So I called him. I said, my nephew got into this accident. I'm in Miami. I can't see him. Can you take a look at him, please, for me? He took care of him, fixed him, repaired his nose, was broken. So a few months later, I was visiting my family, and my initial plan was just to maybe stick around in Miami for a few years. I called this guy. I said, why don't we have lunch and see what's up? How are you doing? I just wanted to thank you for taking care of my nephew. Yeah. And he goes, okay, why don't you come? We had lunch. He goes, what's your plan? I said, I'm thinking of maybe just sticking around in Miami, teach at University of Miami for a few years, see what happens maybe. He goes, teach. He goes, why don't you, doesn't your family live here? I said, yeah. He goes, we have an office. You want to just come and start your practice here with us? I said, what do you mean? I don't have any patients. He goes, you don't need any patients. Just come by. I'll show you how this thing works. You got great training. You got good skills, I'm sure. You just come in and do your thing. So I packed up, came a month later, and I, didn't have a single patient. I didn't even have a business card. I didn't even have, there was an office with 3 rooms, and I was sharing it with another doctor. So it was a small practice that we were doing. So that's how it started. That was back in 2005.
Wow.
So yeah, and then I started, building, my practice
in his office. At Beverly Hills at the time?
Yeah, it was at Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills. I didn't even know anything about business, anything about how a medical practice should run.
They grow patient clientele, or
nothing, zero. So it's really fascinating, and I think part of the training, and I think in medical school they should have courses on how do you build a practice. I mean, the focus obviously is to how do you care for patients, which is the most important part, but the rest of it is how does this work? So most doctors, that's why most doctors that graduate, they join either an existing practice which already has these things, or they go work for an academic center or work for something like a Kaiser. It's just easier because you don't have to figure these things out, right? So most doctors, especially nowadays, I've been out for about 16, 17 years, most of those guys that are coming out are joining big practices or hospitals or, different. So it's very different these days for you to start a practice because of all the things that are, medicine is changing, everything is changing.
Just to kind of rewind a little bit on the story, very interesting. When you were building the practice inside, your mentor, you would say, or, an associate that helped you, building the practice there in 05, did it get so busy that you needed to take your own space? Or when did you decide, hey, I'm moving into my own place?
Yeah. So I think, around the same time comes YouTube, right? And I'll tell you the story because YouTube was the tipping point in my practice. And the year is around 2006. YouTube had just started. It was this young thing. Nobody really knew what it was. And internet was just starting to happen, start to get into that. Social networks weren't around. So
100%.
Right?
100% that time.
You remember?
Yeah.
So I remember I did this revisional surgery. Revisional surgery means someone has had surgery and they need it to be fixed, right? So this guy came and he had 4 different surgeries, and I was the last guy, and I said, look, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna have to take some skin from here, put it over here, reconstruct your eyes. Just I know it's gonna look good. You just have to believe me and go with it. And he goes, okay, do it. What do I have to lose? Did his surgery. It was home run, and he turned around. He goes, I've had people from Stanford, I've went to Harvard, I've had all these people operate on me, and you fixed this problem that these guys did, and you got some skills. I said, well, I do. He goes, but listen to this. It's not, and I'm not trying. He goes, there is this thing called YouTube, and I want to pay this forward for you. I said, what? He goes, I got some guy, he's going to come, just videotape one of these videos you do. Just find a patient that, similar to my situation, do their thing. And I said, okay. So we did that. And I am not kidding when I tell you that after that first video went on, my practice, we had people coming in from all over US. I had this guy from India calling me, or from Angkor Wat, which has started actually its own journey where we started our foundation, because, he goes, I put on video, and I still meet random people, by the way,
right,
who come and say, I saw your droopy eyelid video, that technique you did. I learned how to do that technique by watching your video. I just wanted to say thank you. It's pretty humbling when you see that. So that's the power of social media, power of something like YouTube that becomes now, available to anybody. Anyone can see it and can have access to this kind of thing. So yes, I told my buddy, I said, look, my practice, this is getting, kind of bigger. I need a bigger space. So yes, at that point was the dividing point that I said, okay, I need to go find some bigger space and hire some people and learn about what else to do. How do I make sure that I don't get to a point where I'm so big that I lose what's important? Because what's important is the patient. Always number one, what's important. So that was important to us. So we brought some good people, and I've been so lucky to, along the journey, meet some incredible people that have taught me, I've learned from, and to be able to do what I do. So it's important. I think who you surround yourself is really key, obviously, in life.
100%. You got so busy because of this one video that was posted while you're at someone else's practice, but the video took off so big that it finally allowed you to say, hey, I need to start my own shop under my own umbrella. But it was because of the power of the video.
Yes.
Right? So how much growth have you noticed using social media video marketing?
I'll answer this way. And I honestly think, so social media is powerful, as we talked about, right? I mean, now you have, we didn't have Facebook wasn't around back then.
Right.
It was just a baby. You had certainly MySpace and other things. But when it comes to ultimately, the secret sauce is, first of all, you have to be it's got to be authentic. You have to, like, it can't be cookie cutter. You can't like see like somebody, what works for like some Dr. X doesn't work for Dr. Y. And so a lot of people in social media think that they can just throw money at it, and throwing money at it is going to solve their social media thing. So authenticity is number one. And number two, you have to be passionate about your work and your patients. So that tool, social media is just a tool. If you're not using it the right way, if you're just posting some video and not interacting and engaging with your people, your audience, and if you're not really, it's all about, so, and then everyone is different, right? So you have some social media people some doctors who like act like they're like, I don't know, Hollywood stars, or they act like they show their fancy car, fancy house, fancy. It's not me. I don't have a fancy car or a house or anything. For me, it's about the patient and showing them in a very nice, and it's anybody. It's not like some superstar celebrity that comes in. We do have those patients, but it's not about that. It's about your neighbor next door who is bothered by X, and can you take them through that journey and solve their problem? So I think that's the key part of it. And then, obviously you have to be good at what you do and showcase the results. You can't, you can make things look really good, but if it doesn't, the results are not good, then it doesn't matter, right? So the combo has to be there. All of those things have to be there.
What I have always been so fascinated with about your practice is that people come in to see you because they're looking tired. They have bags under the eyes. They're middle-aged, or they're in their 30s or some late 20s, and they already look as if they have had no sleep for months, and they come to you and you're just like this miracle worker. Thank you. I guess just like on a universal level of education for everybody watching, how can people prevent baggy eyes?
Okay, that's a great question. And I mean, obviously, the biggest part of it is the genetics that you're born with. So that's one thing, we can't control that. And it's an anatomical thing. Ultimately, if it happens and it becomes part of it, there are solutions. So and everyone's solution is different, whether, you do A, B, C, or E, F, G. But I think, in general, be gentle with your eyes, be gentle with, it's about what you eat. It's important, right? Healthy diet, not only just because you want to look not tired, but you want to be healthy in general. It's important. So greens, your vitamins, low salt diet in general is important. And sleeping pattern, getting enough sleep is important. Staying away from the sun is key. So wearing sunscreen and being gentle with your face and eyes. So all of these things add up. But, everyone is in different stages, and, when it happens, we come up with different solutions for them.
What's the best advice you could give students in med school right now?
My biggest advice is that you have to understand it's all about the patient. So everything you do, whether you're a psychiatrist or you decide to be a neurosurgeon or whatever it is, it's always about the patient. So, there's a thing that, we say, do no harm, and that really is the foundation of what you're doing, and it's got to start with the patient. And you're at I would tell them also that you have to realize that you are in a position where some stranger, how many jobs are there where some stranger comes to your life and they open up all this intimate stuff, like, I'm bothered by A, B, C, D, or my stomach hurts, my head hurts, like I went to so these are personal things you don't just talk to anybody about. So what kind of jobs have that opportunity? So you're in a privileged position that some strangers coming to you and giving you all this, sharing with you, and you're at the position where you say, okay, what can I do with this? Do I say I'm grateful for this situation and I'm privileged that I can take care of this person? And if your mentality is like that, no matter what you choose, whether you're a neurosurgeon, you're a plastic surgeon, you're a podiatrist, you're at a position where you're going to do great things, right? But if it's all about you and me, and it's just all about me, then it's not. So my advice, it's all about the patient. Make sure you bring them, put them on the pedestal they deserve.
Great advice. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs?
You're gonna work hard, and you be ready for it. You have to. Entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not. It's something that you have to. You have to be always on. You always have to learn. You have to be open to learn new things. And I don't think there's no MBA that's gonna show give you all the tools you need. That's not enough. Really, it requires a lot of grind, a lot of self-learning, and finding ways to improve yourself. And I think that's part of it. My advice is never stop learning.
Okay, so that was amazing, Dr. Parsa. Thank you for sharing all of that. That was just incredible to hear the story, the education, and of course the advice. You're definitely the most successful person I've had on this show so far, so that's great for Sunny at Night. Now we're going to get into something that's a little bit more fun. This is our speed round, our Sunny speed round of questions. It's a chance for our audience to get to know you a little bit better on a more intimate and fun level, and just to kind of go beyond just medicine and your business, but really into the mind of Dr. Kami Parsa. So without further ado, let's get into it. Which doctor would you rather be? Dr. Dolittle, Dr. Strange, or Dr. Evil?
Dr. Strange.
Why is that?
Because he could see the past and the future and see it all.
He could see it all, and you fix people that have eyes, and they see with eyes. Okay, you're the star in a new James Cameron movie. Who's your co-star? Jack Nicholson, Denzel Washington, Meg Thee Stallion, or Joaquin Phoenix?
Jack Nicholson. I don't know. I think because The Shining, I just love him. He's a great actor. The Shining, everything. And he's a Lakers fan, so.
You're the president of any country in the world. What country is it?
US, I would say, probably.
Okay, great. That concludes our Sunny Speed Round. Thank you for playing. It was good to see that different side of you. Dr. Parsa, thank you so much for everything that you've shared tonight. It's been a pleasure to have you on. But before we go, how can people connect with you and your practice?
Yes, I think the best way to find me is on Instagram at Kami Parsa MD, or you can text us at 310-777-8880. And Alex, thank you for having me tonight. Appreciate it. This was awesome.
And thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to our Sunny Creative YouTube channel. Follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for all new updates and episodes of Sunny at Night. Thank you so much again for watching, and we'll see you next time.